So the Los Angeles Rams dominated the Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings, ending their Cinderella season with a 27-9 victory. Has Sam Darnold earned a contract extension with the Vikings after the season he had? And then I want to ask you all about Sean McVay, man, on whether or not he's underrated as a head coach.
Hey, Cam, I'm gonna start here because I feel like a lot of people are taking a big ass dump on Sam Darnold, and obviously the game didn't look good. It looked like the Sam Darnold from the Jets, and you know how I felt about Sam Darnold, right?
So FIFO, you're probably going to get into some stats. Can I give you some?
No, I wasn't. But go ahead. Throw in some stats in there.
So, because I don't know what you're going to go with Sam Darnold, but just hear me out. So over the last 2 weeks, 2 games. The Lions and the Rams that the Vikings have played with Sam Darnold as a starter. He has thrown 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a 53% completion percentage, and the Vikings offense has only scored a combined 18 points, while their seasonal average is 25. So what are you going to say about Sam?
So what I want to know, Ken, since you're looking at the stats, is how many attempts did he have in that game, in both of those games, the Lions game and then this playoff game here. And that's. Yeah, do that for me, because my point is more Kevin O'Connell. Now, I'm not saying that the Lions share, no pun intended, doesn't go to Sam Darnold. It does. You're the quarterback, right? Like, we all watched the same thing. The man was holding the ball like, bro, like, hey, throw it away. Like, don't take the sack. Throw it. Do something. Do something. You can't hold the ball like that. But I'm putting a big piece of the pie on Kevin O'Connell, and that's that I had him in my top 10 coaches at the beginning of the season. I still think he is one of the better coaches, but he's calling too many passes. And I think that what we saw early in that game, he could have called a little bit more runs, settle it down, because obviously the momentum or the lack of momentum that they had from that Lions game, we saw at the beginning of this game. Like, the magic wasn't there. And what Kevin O'Connell did with his play call was like he tried to forget that the Lions game even happened. And that's what you should do as a professional athlete, as a coach with a game plan. But at the end of the day, your quarterback wasn't responding to that. And that's why I'm giving a big piece to Kevin O'Connell. Sam Darnold was trash too, but Kevin O'Connell deserves a big piece of the pie.
That's crazy that they lost
40 attempps. In both games, 40 plus.
That's
crazy that they lost. They lost back to back to the Rams and
the Lions.
Who was it? The Lions and the Rams twice.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost to them in the, they were rolling and lost to them in the regular season back to back, and then they didn't lose any other games, and then came back to lose to the same 2 teams again. So he really just struggled against the 2 teams all year, but. Nonetheless, when you needed him most, he stunk it up. And no, he earned a contract, but not with the Vikings. They are high on JJ, from what I understand, and I think they'll be looking to roll with JJ McCarthy going forward.
I mean, I think you look at Tennessee, they'll want to get a guy like Sam Darnold. You know, the Jets, they might want a reunion with Sam Darnold. I don't know, but I don't know, man. I think Sam Darnold was probably like the 3rd problem with this team that night. Like, he was in like a list of the top 10 problems. He was like the 3rd on the list. He deserves a large portion, but I'm more inclined to look at the fact that they were bracketing Justin Jefferson a lot of that game. The O-line was atrocious, and your play calling didn't accentuate you can't believe the mythology of your own season. You have to stay grounded in the moment. You can't be looking at Sam Darnold having a Cinderella season and now you start to really believe that he's the belle of the ball. That's not what you're supposed to do. Sam Darnold throwing 40 times a game didn't get you here. You leaned on Brian Flores and his genius, and you told Sam Darnold, don't make dumb mistakes. But when you have O-line play like that and you accentuate his weaknesses with 40-plus pass plays, I put those as the top 2 reasons why you get the 3rd outcome, which is Sam Darnold looked like shit. But, poor Vikings, man. The Vikings always do this. They always have a really good season or a season that looks like, man, they could maybe do something. And there's always going to be a loud contingency of folk who think that it's just complete fraud. And they're always right for some reason, man. I wanted to believe in this team getting to the 2nd round. But, yeah, man, you got to hope that McCarthy is the guy.
Not as much as Justin Jefferson, boy. He was hoping that Sam Darnold would do. My thing is, like, again, like we've seen here, we've seen this time and time again. Like you said, I'm not really want to talk about Sam Darnold because we all knew what he was going into the season. But he did make himself some money, so I'll give him credit for that. My main thing is I hated the chatter as far as going up to this point. People were talking about trade JJ McCartney, have Sam Darnold. I was like, bro, what the fuck is he doing? The thing that the Vikings should do is tag Sam Darnold, see what it, because JJ hurt. I think his rehab isn't going so well. So
I thought it was going good. They said
I thought he kind of re-injured himself a little bit, but I would still give him time to see if he can come back. Maybe you start Sam the first 2 weeks of the season. But if you could do this with Sam Darnold, you could do this with Kirk Cousins as far as KOC. Exactly. Like if you could do that with those two quarterbacks, I think JJ has a chance. Now, as far as the second question, we got to start talking about Sean McVay more. Ken, I don't talk about a lot of white men on this program, but the one I do talk about, he so happily ended my title run for Cincinnati. But he's been, outside of one season, I believe he's been a very consistent coach as far as getting his team to the playoffs with guys that we don't even know, to be honest. He turned Puka Nacua into a household name. They over here talking about Kuna Matata over there on the West Coast. So to me, it's like, and Cooper Kupp has fallen off a cliff, in my opinion, but they still producing on offense. That defense showed out against the Vikings. Like, again, a lot of names that are young guys. Sean McVay is an old school guy, so he still runs the ball. He got Kerryon Williams, who's an underrated running back. If he was in fantasy football, you would know that if you had him on your team, he produces. We got to give Sean McVay his flowers. He always has his team. They almost beat Detroit last year in the playoffs. So I would be very fearful if I was Philly, because that first drive that he had, they was throwing darts against a great Brian Flores defense. That defense was great all season long, and they went up and down that field on them. So to me, Philly has a lot. Granted, it's on the road. It's in a cold weather city. They're not in a dome, or they're not on the West Coast in warm weather. I'll be curious to see that, but that offense is humming.
Yeah. Hey, Minnesota can blame Dan Campbell for that loss, because he telling McDonald, see you in 2 weeks. So him saying that was bulletin board material for the Rams, and they used it and came out and proved that theory to be wrong. So that's who they can fault for that. He ain't had no business saying that.
Yeah, I definitely think Sean McVay probably deserves to get a little bit more credit. And I was thinking about this earlier today when I was going over my picks and even watching the game, because they traded away the house to win a Super Bowl and got it. And yet they're still competing for at least making it to the playoffs with just pieces. And guys,
they won a division. They won a division.
Yeah.
Jared Verse was their first pick since trading all of the picks. And that dude, 6'4", 260. You see how he was moving? When they said how big I said, bro, these NFL players, like that's legit. Ken, look, I agree with you, man. Like they've been able to draft, even though they gave away the house. Plug. Hey, this is a second round pick, third round pick, whatever. They are solid. They have a foundation. And now that they're going to have their own picks moving forward, my thing is this, Ken, moving forward, we don't know how many more years Matt Stafford has at an elite level. So how do they replace him? And one other thing I wanted to say too, Shelton, when Dan Campbell said that to KOC, you know what it mentally, where my mind went?
What was that?
When LeBron tapped Gilbert Arenas on the shoulder and said, "Don't miss them," and that's what happened. That's what happened.
Man, hey, Nick got on him about that too on that show. That was crazy. I had to send you that clip, but he did this. He talked about that too, that tap on the shoulder. But yeah, that's what that.